Thank you so much for the intro. I'm so excited to be here, talking about figuring out how do we AI and human work in the world of whiteboarding. And I built Excalidrawwa, and if you don't know about it, you'll see many things about it. And one of the expectation you probably have about a speaker at the AI Engineer Conference is that I talk about AI on every single sentence for the entire talk. So I'm just going to give you a warning. I'm only going to do it for the second half of the talk. But the first half is going to be a good setup, and you should pay close attention because it's going to be really interesting content. So let's get started. So we are 5 years ago. I'm working at Facebook January 1st, and if you've been at any big company, there's the performance review process. And so you have to give feedback around all the people you've been working with, how good or bad you've been doing, and same for your manager. And one thing that I'm probably not unique in this room, but there's this little devil in me that is nope, you're not going to do it until the very, very last minute. And this is called procrastination, and I'm really bad at this, and I've tried many techniques over the years. And the one at that time that I worked on is what I call active procrastination. So I know I'm not going to be able to write the performance reviews until the last minute, so may as well do something actually useful in the meantime. Otherwise, I would be doom scrolling on my phone and not be productive. And so what I ended up doing is I wanted to write a blog post for a long time, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to write a blog post. And so I used a tool called Whiteboarding in order to draw those kind of hand-written illustrations. And unfortunately, at the time, the website Whiteboarding was down. And I was like, no, come on. I've wanted to not procrastinate and everything, and then it's still down. And so what did I do? I'm like, okay, we're going to go one level deeper. What would it take to actually re-implement Whiteboarding? How hard would it be? And so I opened Code Sandbox, and I wrote some code to use Rough.js, and now, hey, I got a demo. And the thing I didn't expect is I posted about it on Twitter, and it exploded. 200 likes on this first tweet, and so many people replied and commented and were excited about it. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. And so this was the beginning of Excalidrawwa. Now, one of the things is, if I were to do this again in the future, right now, I would not start writing code myself. I would probably use any of the coding agents that we've seen. And the good thing is I'm not the only one. So if you look at 2 weeks ago, during the Anthropic keynote, when they wanted to demo Claude AI agents, they actually used Excalidrawwa for this, and they actually had the agent re-implement the most popular request, which is a table layout. Unfortunately, they haven't sent a PR yet, so if anybody's working at Claude here, we welcome pull requests. Anyway, so one thing you may have noticed is I've said AI multiple times, so I knew you were not going to last the entire half of the talk without it, so now let's get back to the non-AI part of this. So this was in the story, we were in January 1st, 2020, and 3 months later, you probably all know what happened, COVID. And so everybody had to go home, and now had to figure out how are you working from home, what's life like? And a lot of people, one of the big things that they try to figure out is whiteboarding. And so when you're in the office, you have a physical whiteboard and you can draw stuff and you can collaborate with people. But when you're at home, you don't have any of this. And I was very confused because a lot of people started coming to me around oh, actually Excalidrawwa is a really good whiteboarding solution. And I was very confused because I built Excalidrawwa for drawing illustration for my blog post. And what does it have to do with whiteboarding? And then I started being interested around okay, what are the other people doing whiteboarding, other tools doing? And one thing I quickly realized is that all of the tools at the time basically took the physical limitation of whiteboarding and mapped them one-to-one with the online versions. So for example, a whiteboard, a physical whiteboard, has a fixed size. And so what everybody did, they created a fixed size, hey, create a new whiteboard, and then if you run out of space, then you're out of luck. Now with Excalidrawwa, you can just scroll around and start writing somewhere else, and it just works. Then the next one is drawing text. And so on a physical whiteboard, you have to trace every single letter. And on the mouse, it's actually very, very hard. And so on Excalidraww, I was like, hey, like we have a text box, like you can select, and this is fine. And when I did the dry run for this talk, like the people were telling me, like, there's no way, like, even MS Paint in like 30 years ago had like keyboard support, but this was the state of the art at the time. And one thing to remember is nobody like thought about online whiteboarding at the time. So like all the projects were pretty small and like not very used. And now all of a sudden there's been a huge influx. So this is why it was so bad. And then the list keeps going on. So if you want to start erasing, they would actually have you like erase every single pixel. But on Excalidraww, you can select and delete, and just works. And then like I don't know if you've seen like the Reels TikTok video where like people like draw like perfect circles like this on a blackboard, and this is like what you had to do for like doing this online. But with Excalidraww, you can just like select a shape like a circle and like you just draw it and it just works fine. And finally, there are things you cannot do on a physical whiteboard. So for example, like copy pasting is like just doesn't work. But if you're working online, like this is the baseline expectation that you're able to like select and copy paste. And so this is like all of this like really was the big breakthrough in my mind around the idea of the physical versus virtual whiteboard. And this is, I feel, like the same place and time we're in with AI integration right now. So in practice, what a lot of the AI integrations today, they're basically taking like whatever we're doing right now and then like sprinkling AI or re-implementing it with AI. And the end result is like pretty bad because like, hey, you don't know how it works. But the thing is, unlike Excalidraww and the online, like where we had the experience, right now we use AI like nobody has experience. And so this is why I'm super excited about this conference, where like all of the people like trying things out are actually sharing the lessons to the other with each other. And so hopefully, like as we keep doing these conferences, now we're going to bring the state of the world with AI to be much better. So now I talked a lot about like Excalidraww, the early days and everything. And so a lot of people have been asking us like, how do you integrate AI with Excalidraww? And we've tried a bunch of things. So now for the second part, I'm going to walk through what are the things we've tried, what are the things that have worked, what are the things that haven't worked. So the first one is actually not us, but Gorkem, who I think is in the room somewhere, working at FAL AI. And so he discovered this really cool machine learning model that takes an Excalidraww diagram with like a palm tree or like a sun, and then is able to generate real-time live picture, like beach of the image in reaction to this. And so this is like was mind-blowing to me, where like, oh, now like machines can actually generate images, and the model is working really well, and like I think the demo is still working, so if you want, like you should try it. But one of the issues is when we started like integrating with Excalidraww, we realized that people don't actually draw realistic images on Excalidraww. And so this is one, like the first like key lesson that we found is that just because there's a model that exists doesn't mean that it should be within your product. And I know right now like there's a huge pressure for all of us to like just add whatever kind of AI into our product that's like in order to be like AI first and whatever. But I really like want you to think about like what are the actual AI integrations that actually make sense, rather than like, hey, I just put in AI and that's it. And in practice, if you do that, then actually like the whole product experience is going to be like way worse than if you didn't have any AI at all. So this was like the first learning. Now, people do not draw realistic images on Excalidraww, but they do draw diagrams. And so now the question is, okay, so LLMs are magical and like they're going to generate diagrams, so let's try it. And so we tried, and that didn't work out. And so this is an illustration, but in practice it was even worse. Like there was no resemblance of a house or anything. It was just like bad. And this is where like we started realizing that like just doing this wasn't going to cut it. So we need to like be like a bit better. But one thing is, yesterday I was chatting with somebody working at Gemini, and he showed me a demo of like Gemini actually outputting Excalidraww files. So my talk is already outdated, and we probably need to get back and like start coding on this. But Anyway, let's continue. So the thing, though, that we found out is LLMs were actually able to generate something called Mermaid.js. And so the name of the project is super weird, but in practice, it's a way to describe a diagram. And so in this case, you're just writing flowchart LR, AI to be engineer, and then it draws this specific diagram. And so LLMs were able to like realistically generate this kind of like Mermaid.js syntax. And this was really exciting because now what we are able to do is to like encode the knowledge of the diagram, and Mermaid supports like many different types of diagram. And so now we're able to like encode all of this, and like all of the prompts can actually generate the diagrams. Now the challenge is like this output SVG or canvas and not Excalidraww files. So what do we do? So in practice, I can check it to work. And so she implemented an Excalidraww backend for Mermaid.js. And now we finally have our first very successful integration of AI within Excalidraww. So now what you can do is to like set a prompt and like put in anything that you want. So in this case, the flowchart starts with AI and an engineer. But we've seen people like draw like org chart diagram or TCP or the network request kind of diagram or architecture diagram where you can see like classes and inheritance and those kind of things. And then you get a result, which is an actual Excalidraww component that you can play with. And one of the things that is the title of my talk is the human and AI partnership. One of the things that you've probably been very frustrated is like you start and you generate something that like looks 90% like what you want. But then you're like, hey, this is an image, I can't do anything with it. And this is like the magic of this integration with Excalidraww, is now this is just Excalidraww, and you can use Excalidraww to like make it however you want. And so for example, you can get to something like this, where you start modifying the layout, just moving things around, you start adding colors, and you really make it to where and to what you want to be. And so I think this is the mindset that we're going to see more and more with successful AI integrations, is no longer going to be like one shot, hey, I'm asking the AI something and the AI give me like something perfect, but how do you get something that's close enough and then you as a human can start modifying? And so right now, this is like a just one-way, like one round-trip operation. But I foresee a future where like now you're going to be able to go back to the AI and say, hey, modify this, and then go to the much further. We don't have this right now, but this is what I think the future is going to look like. So now this is one integration. So I'm going to go through a few other AI integrations that we've been working on within Excalidraww. So the next one is one of the things you can do with the SaaS offering of Excalidraww is managing file, creating a bunch of different files and syncing in the cloud. And as if you've been using this, most of your like documents are going to look like Untitled 1, Untitled 2, Untitled 3, Untitled 4. And one of the things that LLM can actually really good at is generating names for these documents. And so now, whenever you're creating a document, we wait until you stop working on this, so we actually have content, and then we're going to prompt you, hey, these are like all of the names that we think would match, and then you just click, and then you're done. And so this way, like, it actually removes the burden on you to do it, and AIs are really good at this. Next one is, while people are not using Excalidraww to generate like good-looking like wall, painting kind of things, people tend to like want to have like a lot of infographics, a lot of illustrations within their slides or like their diagrams. And one thing that we are doing, which is in like alpha, like closed right now, but we're going to open source and to ship in a few weeks, is the ability to generate illustrations. And so we are really hyped about this because I think it's going to help a lot of people. And finally, the thing that like kills me the most, I'm using Chedeau every day, and I usually want to integrate logos within my diagram or my slide, all those kind of things. And I cannot find a reliable way to remove the background from all of those pesky logos. So I just took a screenshot of the AI Engineer World Fair from the website, and I'm like, hey, please, like, how do I remove the background? And the thing that I wanted to do is to challenge all of you, like you're all AI engineers, and probably someone from all of you can create a model that removes the background for logos. And if you're able to make it work within the browser, send it to me, and we'll make it happen, and we'll like ship it within Excalidraww. So I'm really excited that some of you are going to be able to help us with this and help all of the people using Excalidraww. So this is the end of my talk, and I have a few conclusions for you. So the first one is, right now, as I mentioned, we're in the like physical whiteboard to virtual whiteboard like kind of moments happening within like all of the product, but specifically like for the design products. And now we need to figure out like what is the AI native way to implement those interactions. And so really excited about this conference to like start showing like all of the potential. The second one is please resist the urge to actually ship all of the random models that exist within your app, and really only ship the one that like you feel like are actually adding to the product and are helping your customers doing what they actually want to do. And the last one is LLMs love structure. So if you're able to take your problem domain, problem space, and find a way to represent it in some kind of domain-specific language, now it's going to be most likely going to work way better to like have the LLM target this domain-specific language, and then you take this language, and without AI, you actually output it to your own system. So this is the end of my talk. I'm really excited that we have this